Hello students, this is Mrs. Walton, and in this short tutorial video, I'm going to show you how to create an electronic note card using your sources that you have created in your Noodle Tools account. So just like all Noodle Tools activities, you need to have a project that you can attach your work to. I went ahead for today's tutorial and created a project called Note Card Practice. So I'm going to go ahead and open that project. And just as usual, you have your dashboard landing page. You normally, just like you would do in your other activities, have a source page. I went ahead and created ahead of time these sources that I could then use to create note cards from. So you would just go to your source page and you see these various MLA formatted sources that you have put into place. And now I'm going to take my sources and I'm going to look for information that I can use for whatever my research project is. I think I'll start with a Discus database article that I found. I also want to just point out ahead of time that all of these resources are about Godzilla. So you're probably wondering, what on earth is Mrs. Walton doing using Godzilla as a scholarly explanation on how you should create note cards? Well, interestingly, the origins of Godzilla come from the use of the atomic bomb in Japan at the end of World War II. This was a catastrophic event, both from a human standpoint and also from a cultural standpoint. And not only was Japan affected by the two atomic bombs that were dropped at the end of World War II, but continued nuclear, hydrogen, atomic, those types of tests continued in the region around Japan, particularly in what was called the Bikini Atoll, which is a ring of coral islands that the United States continued to test there throughout the rest of the 1940s into the 1950s. And this had a profound impact on the Japanese because they constantly lived in fear. They constantly lived under the specter of cultural annihilation. It had just a profound impact on their thinking. And this was filtered into their filmmaking. They were also very influenced by horror pictures or sort of like creature, larger than life pictures that had been created in the United States, like King Kong was a big influence. And then also, not only that, but when you have atomic or radiation fallout, this can cause mutilations. And so the thought that some creature, some mutilated creature from the sea, could arise to threaten Japan from irradiation was not that far-fetched from their perspective. So that's why all of these sources have something to do with Godzilla. So like I said, we're going to start with the Discus article first. So I need to go in here and I'm going to go to this time to the note card tab. And just like we always do, we're going to look up here in the left-hand corner, and I'm going to create a new note card using that source I was just telling you about. So for my title, I don't need like a formal title necessarily, but I need something to kind of help me remember and see what this note card might be about. So I'm just going to put atomic, nuclear, bomb effect when it came to the creation of Godzilla. My source is easily found by just clicking through this drop-down menu. And right here was my Discus article. So I just click on that, and that's going to link this note card to that source. This first box is by far the most important box in this sort of electronic note card region. So this is the box where I'm going to paste in an exact or direct quote that comes from my source. So I'm going to go up here to my Discus article, and I had scrolled through previously to find a passage that talked a little bit about, the origins. So the story behind this is that when the United States dropped a test bomb in 1954 to see what the results were, there was a small fishing boat that was in the region. And these men on this boat were blinded by this flash of light. The boat was affected by it. They didn't really know totally what the reason for this was, but this boat called the Lucky Dragon, which had been a tuna trawler, had gotten too close to the H-bomb test. And this caused a big international controversy because of the potential for radiation poisoning for these men, and also the irradiation of the fish that they had caught, which then they took back to Japan, but fortunately they were stopped before this fish was distributed to the population, which eating that could have then poisoned part of the populace. So this was a huge story. It was very important in, connecting the atomic testing to threats to Japan. So I decided, okay, I want to use this quote. It's this fabulous quote excerpt. So I go back to my Noodle Tools note card, and once again, we are looking for, and this little pop-up box will come, we're just looking to paste in that exact quote, which we do, and it puts it in here. And this is the basis for our note card. Now, the other two boxes that are also very, very important is this box, which can help you learn to paraphrase or summarize. You'll notice right here, paraphrase or summary. And if you're not really sure about what to do here, you can always click here and it will give you some advice on how to paraphrase, how to how to summarize, and you can go from there. Or you have information that your teacher may have given you previously. The best way, I think, to do this is to just sort of pretend that you're having to explain this to a partner in your own words. So what I might want to do here is I could just go in through here and type something along the lines of the origins of Godzilla can be traced to, and let's see, I'll put a hydrogen bomb test off the coast of Japan in 1954. Actually, in my thinking, I know from my other study that it could be traced even back to the dropping of the atomic bomb at the end of World War II. Excuse me, sorry. I could just put, say, a small fishing trawler was affected along with its crew. This helped the Japanese to realize that radiation poisoning of humans and food could have, let's say, negative effects. Could a creature from below be awakened? I can't spell here in front of you all. Awakened by mutilation, let's say by radiation and mutilated. These are just that's just sort of a on the fly way that I'm kind of putting this in my own words. And down here for original thinking, sometimes these are how to extend that quote, how to extend your thinking. One of the most important things that you could put here is what are some of the words that are in here that you don't possibly understand. Like you may not know what is a trawler, you may not know what irradiation is, or fallout, or let's say radiation thickness is another element of this. What is a hydrogen bomb? And so I think, those are some pretty good starts for just how to extend your thinking, what else you might need to know in order to make this work. And then all you need to do would be to save it and close it. And that created a note card for you. It pops up on a screen over here. You can hover over it, see the details. You can change things if you wanted to by going into edit, and you would just keep going back to your sources and using this to create these new note cards, making sure that you link them to a source that you have. And that